Hello, everyone. I'm George from Ireland. So I'm going to read you a poem by Dylan Thomas, perhaps his most celebrated poem, which he composed just the year before he died, which is about the death of his father. So Dylan Thomas, this renowned British poet of the mid 20th century, he died at the age of 39 from dipsomania. He collapsed in a New York street, his last words being, "I've just had 25 whiskies." So perhaps when he composed this piece, he was very conscious of his own mortality. And in a time of coronavirus, this poem about bereavement is especially apposite. Anyway, I shall give you my exegesis of it afterwards. So here it is. Do Not Go Gentle Into That Good Night by Dylan Thomas. Do not go gentle into that good night. Old age should burn and rave at the close of day. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. Though wise men at their end know dark is right, because their words had forked no lightning, they do not go gentle into that good night. Good men, the last wave by, crying how bright their frail deeds might have danced in the green bay. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. Wild men who caught and sang the sun in flight, and learned too late they grieved it on its way, do not go gentle into that good night. Grave men near death who see with blinding sight, blind eyes could blaze like meteors and be gay. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. And you, my father, there on the sad height, curse, bless me now with your fierce tears, I pray. Do not go gentle into that good night. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. So I feel my pulse is going faster. It's the kind of poem which can make the blood race. Although curiously, it's about someone slipping away from life. So I don't know all the biographical details. I don't want to. I suppose just put my own interpretation on it, mistaken as it might be. So do not go into that gentle into that good night is about dying. So don't accept it simply stoically. Some people can be serene. I remember in a film of Brideshead Revisited, the Catholic priest says, "Oh, some people make a beautiful death. Just accept it." But no, you should fight against it. Is it because they believe if you resist it, if you have willpower, you might actually live? I know a woman who almost died about 2.5 years ago, saying to her husband, "Will you let me go?" As in, will you grant me permission to die? And he said, "No, I want you to live." So she did. And 2.5 years later, she's very healthy for someone of her age. So willpower can sometimes make the difference. I know it doesn't always. You might have immense willpower and want to live but not, or indeed you might have zero willpower but still be quite a serious illness. But it can be a factor, I suppose, if there are borderline cases. Old age should burn and rave at the dying of the light. So rave is being like a maniac, shouting out, screaming. He would like that we show some sort of fighting spirit, some sort of life. So the close of day in this case is your life coming to an end, because we have brightness that's associated with life. Obviously darkness is with death. It's cold, you can't see anything, less sensation, a little bit scary. The grave is cold and dark. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. So rage, he wants him to be furious. Why would you be angry about dying? What emotion would you feel if you knew you're dying? Now, you might feel melancholy. I think I would. People said to rue the mistakes they made, regret they didn't enjoy themselves, that they were too preoccupied with money or unimportant things. They say those who work in hospices or in palliative care, they meet people who are terminally ill and they listen to their regrets. And obviously that's a priceless wisdom for what you should do to extract the maximum out of each and every day. So the dying of the light. So here's the word dying used, but not just metaphorically, as in dying of the light is when you're going to die. We all know the positive connotations of light. So it's odd. I mean, people, if they feel it's unjust they're dying, they might feel angry about it. but it's curious. I don't know. No one else thought you ought to be furious about dying of some disease or some old age. Though wise men know at the end dark is right. Presume they meant as in death is definitely going to come. It's just unavoidable. That's my understanding of his message here, because their words are forked no lightning. Now, I know forked lightning is dangerous, but how would your words fork lightning? As in make the impossible happen or something like that? Or if they haven't achieved enough? I'm puzzled by that line. They do not go gentle into that good night. Okay, so they resist it. They try and fight on. They dislike it. I mean, I wouldn't surprise me. Some people are not thrilled to be called to meet their maker. Good men, the last wave by, crying how bright their frail deeds might have danced in a green bay. So is this these good men that they feel they've accomplished something through their frail deeds? And even these people who feel satisfied with their lives, they too fight for every minute and want to live a little bit longer. Makes me call to mind how a dear friend of mine told me how when he was 17 his father died of cancer, and that man said, he's a highly successful chap, I would give everything I have for another 5 minutes of my father. So I thought, wow, well, shows you what the priority is. Wild men who caught and sang the sun in flight, and learned too late they grieved on its way, do not go gentle into that good night. Who caught and sang the sun in flight, again, are these high achievers, as in musically or flying or something like that, grieved it's on its way, so they were sad. They saw that it was going away. The sun, I suppose. But anyway, these people, whatever you've done, they too fight to the last moment. They don't want to die, and they're irate about dying, because you think it'd be a more plangent poem or quietly tristful, but no, it's a very different aspect on it. It's not your typical sorrowful poem of mourning. There's a well-known moist literature of poems which are like In Memoriam or so on. It's not your typical elegy, no. Adonais, I weep for Adonais, he is dead. Grave men near death who see with blinding sight, blind eyes could blaze like meteors and be gay. So grave men as in serious-minded chaps, so with blinding sight. Now, obviously, this is an oxymoron here, as in that they can see, but they can't see. Blind eyes could blaze, so maybe they really are blind, some of them, but eyes obviously being windows of the soul, but so there's still some emotion comes out of them. They can still be expressive somehow, like meteors, as in flying through the sky, fast and hot as they are, and be gay. This is not the sense of homosexual. This is published in 1952, so just before it came to have, well, it was only by the 70s actually that gay came to be understood to mean homosexual. Rage against the dying of the light. So even these serious-minded guys, they too fight against it, and they too are feeling wrath about dying. I know it's wrath in American, but it's wrath for us. So people who could be furious, who could be cheerful, sometimes they are angry about dying. And you, my father, are there on that sad height. So as he addressed it to his father, that's sad height. I'm not sure what the height thing is, where he's supposed to be. Is it the bed? Curse, bless me now, with your fierce tears I pray. So I wonder if he's just desperate, panicked for any emotion from his father, just some communication. So with failing, fumbling hands, he's pleading with him to still send contact now with fierce tears. So though he's weeping, he should be angry too, I pray. So could we pray in the sense of orison, or indeed he pleads with him? Perhaps it's both. Do not go gentle into that good night. So imploring him to fight against it. Could he have a minute more life? And it's quite life affirming to be furious. I remember Christopher Hitchens saying, that anger is underrated as an emotion. We should be filled with odium for evil, and it gets you out of the bed in the morning. It's something that makes you more alert and alive. Rage against the dying of the light. Well, there we go. That's my penny's worth about do not go gentle into that good night, which has entered common parlance, as in unwilling to die. Toodaloo.